Good morning. This is Pam with Follow Your Brush. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and commenting and hitting those like buttons and all those things that we do on Facebook and YouTube. I am a watercolor explorist, adventurist, and have been painting now for going on 7 years in watercolor. I painted before, but not in watercolor. Watercolor kind of has its own language and talks to me differently than other paints, and you may find the same. But this Christmas, I bought this for myself. An Artist's Life by Mart Whyte. She's a well-known artist and has been painting for over 50 years. So I believe that she has something to tell us, right? We need to listen. When someone has been painting that long and is successful, surely there's something to pass on. She talks about in this book not so much how-tos, but the whys of her journey. And I just so enjoyed reading this and her journey through watercolor, beginning with a little crayon, a chartreuse crayon, and her love for color. And then her journeys through art school, the people that she painted and how she just got to know them and love them. And that encouraged her and made it even easier to paint what she was enjoying because the people she was loving. And I actually cried when I read this book because it's so touching. Here's a great quote. She said, "What I longed for in my work, but I didn't know how to get it, was the kind of passion that comes from the near blinding desire to tell one's story." So she is a storyteller in her paintings. And I love that. She talks about the people that she met, how they modeled for her. This page is one that I just want a couple quotes from this. She says, "Being an artist isn't just about making things. Being an artist is a way of life. The difference was first made evident to me when I was in my 20s, visiting the artist John Falter in his home in Philadelphia." And she talks about how she was spellbound by his artfulness, and it never occurred to her that her home could also be a piece of art, surrounding oneself with beauty. And then I'm going to skip over here. Is Falter, the artist that she's talking about, taught me that being an artist isn't so much about the number of pieces we produce, but the number of ways in our life that we express what we see and feel. Ours is a lifetime of pursuing beauty. As artists, our way of life becomes its own creation. And I'm hoping that you personally, as an artist, can experience that. The not just the joy and not just the getting it down correctly, getting my contrast right, but expressing something that truly comes from the heart. Don't you love this? These are beautiful. I know I've had some paintings that I've cried through because of the emotions that I was feeling as I painted it. I like to paint what I call our memory paintings, without a reference, but just putting things down on paper that feelings that I've had from different times in my life and what sparked that memory. So I have paintings like, look at this one. Isn't that beautiful? Paintings of things that mean something to me. And that's what she talks about in this, about getting to know the people that she painted and just the emotions behind it, not just getting the paint on paper. So I hope for you, this is the chapter that made me cry. This is a picture of her brother painting that she did. He had dementia. My husband had dementia, so I guess this is why this really touched me. But she talks about how she went to visit him and he wasn't that vocal anymore. But she identified who she was to him and tried to get him to remember. She was showing him a painting that she had done, and it had been a few months since she had seen him. She was excited to see him, and he was always expressive to her, with her, about her paintings. So she said she put a painting in front of him and said, "Ta-da!" And he stared blankly at her. And her thoughts and her emotions of what she was losing as he was drifting away into dementia. And at first he didn't show any recognition, and then there was an expression changed, and his eyes widened, and he clenched his fist, and she said to him, it's me, your dweeby little sister." And his brows furrowed, put his lips together, his face began to smooth, he began to smile. Said she did a sidestep with a goofy bounce to the music. He stood up doing his own little boogie, just as we hugged for the first time since his wedding many years before. We danced. His steps were small and shuffled, but they heard the beat of the music. And then she talks about how he looked at her painting, and with one word, he just kept saying, "Wow. Wow." And I just cried. I mean, I just cried. It was so meaningful, so meaningful. And, you know, isn't that why we paint? To touch the emotions, to touch the heart. I know I've had paintings where I've laughed, I've painted where I've cried, when I'm expressing and pouring out my emotions into that paper. And I really recommend, if you read anything this year, any art books, not just how to paint, but I really recommend this book, An Artist's Life by Mart Whyte. And if I had the money, I would buy one for every single one of you watching. It's one of the most inspiring and encouraging art books that I think I've ever read. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and following, and all those things that we do on YouTube. And I'll see you next time. Go buy a book.